Why hello beautiful people, welcome back to Crayniaq Gaming. We are back with a brand new series on this channel. I'm going to be doing a rebuild franchise with the Buffalo Bills in a similar style to what Mr. Hurricane does. I believe Lane does something like this as well. I did do a one-off rebuild of the Seattle Seahawks. Make sure you guys check that out in the description and in the top right corner right about now. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the sub button if you're new. Also hit the notification bell to join the notification gang, and we gonna get this bad boy rolling. Now, for those of you guys who are not familiar with Mr. Hurricane's rebuild franchise series, he actually started them about 3 years ago with Madden 18. Did one with the Browns. Last year he did one with the Cardinals. This year he's doing one with the Buccaneers as well. And the way he does his rebuilds is it's always long term. Usually it's a few games per video, and then he does like a whole video just for like the playoff games and whatnot, and like off season. So it's like really expedited. I think Avengers actually doing a Buccaneers rebuild as well. Well, he's doing like a franchise, but it's more like a rebuild style, more like the Mr. Hurricane style of rebuilds. And I'm going to try my hand at doing this. Now, I can't guarantee how often I'll upload new episodes of this because I do have a few other series that I'm going to be working on. Of course, I still got Baltimore State going on. I still got my Buccaneers franchise going on. I'm still going to be doing NBA 2K20 once that comes out. And I might be doing either NHL 20 or FIFA 20. We'll have to see. But anyways, time to get this started. And we're actually going to be taking over as an owner instead of a coach. So we're going to be doing a lot of work with this Bills team, and the owner of the team is going to be former Bills running back Thurman Thomas. He participated in all 4 Super Bowls that the Bills lost consecutively, and honestly, he's one of my favorite running backs of all time, and probably my favorite Bills player of all time. The Bills are like technically my second favorite team because I was born in Buffalo, but I'm still a Titans fan through and through. But here we go, Thurman Thomas taking over as the owner of the Buffalo Bills. And now we're going to set the settings up. Skill level doesn't really matter because I'm going to be watching all the games. That's one big difference between this franchise and like my Buccaneers franchise. Well, I'll play the games in the Buccaneers franchise, but in this one I'm going to be watching them all. Although first year, as you can probably tell from the title, I'm going to be simulating the entire season. Just showing you guys the scouting. And we'll see how we do in the first year as far as sim goes. Now, we're going to check out the roster here. And, of course, we're led by Josh Allen at quarterback, heading into his second year out of Wyoming. Now, this dude has a cannon for an arm, but he still has to work on a few other things as far as accuracy goes. He's only a 69 overall as a field general, and that's kind of the Bills' scheme type as far as quarterback goes. So he's going to have to get it together. Matt Barkley and Tyree Jackson are going to be the backups. And now we look at running back, and running back is definitely a position that we got to address in the offseason. Shady McCoy and Frank Gore are 31 and 36 respectively. I don't really trust TJ Yeldon as the starting running back, and Devin Singletary is a rookie. At fullback, we got Patrick DeMarco. I believe the Bills do use a fullback still in their offense. Cole Beasley, the top receiver. We also got John Brown, Zay Jones, and Robert Foster, as well as Isaiah McKenzie and Ray McLeod. At tight end, we could probably use an upgrade there. Tyler Kroft, the starter. Lee Smith right behind him. Kroft, a pretty good tight end, but I could definitely use an upgrade there. Left tackle, we got Deion Dawkins, who's pretty decent. We can do better there. We also signed Quentin Spain from the Titans in the offseason. He'll be the left guard. Mitch Morse, a pretty solid center, and he's got a pretty decent backup in Russell Bodine. Wyatt Teller, the right guard in his second year. We'll have to see what he does. And Ty Nsekhe definitely needs to be replaced after this year. 71 overall, 33 years old, not rocking. Shaq Lawson is starting left end at 78 overall, only 25. Jerry Hughes is a guy we might have to replace pretty soon. He's an 83 overall, but he's 31 years old. Ed Oliver, of course, the first round pick for the Bills in this past draft. Only 21 years old, so a lot of potential there. Matt Milano, left outside linebacker. Then we got Tremaine Edmonds, the starting middle linebacker. And then we got Maurice Alexander right behind him. And then we have Lorenzo Alexander, who's 36 years old. This could be his last season. So we're going to have to replace him at right outside linebacker. And outside of Tre'Davious White, not a lot of skill at corner, but we have a lot of youth, so we'll have to see if Levi Wallace and them can do something. Micah Hyde, definitely the best player on the team at 86 overall. And Jordan Poyer, a pretty good strong safety. Stephen Hoshka is our kicker, and Corey Bjork is our punter. I completely apologize if I butchered his name, but yeah. And we all have all but our 7th round picks for the next 2 seasons, so we're looking pretty good. Now, the XP sliders that I'm going to be using are the same ones I use for my Buccaneers franchise. These are the ones I actually got from Bengal early on in the Madden cycle. And I'm going to post a video to his gameplay and XP sliders, although they might be a little dated with the updates. But that video is going to be in the description. As we see, we got quarterback at 115, halfbacks at 110, tight ends at 110, wide receivers at 115, fullbacks I'm going to put up to 140, and then offensive line in general, we're going to put it at about 120 for each position, tackle, guard, and center. And then on the defensive side, we're going to put defensive end at about 120. Just wait for a moment, I'm going to get there. 120 is definitely a good spot because defensive ends don't really develop that quickly. Defensive tackles also go to 120. Middle linebackers we will put at about 116. Around that range is probably best. Outside linebackers is going to be up to about 114. Well, I'll put it at 115 to even it up. Both middle linebackers and outside linebackers and corners. Free safeties and strong safeties also at 115 as well. And we bump kickers and punters up to 140. Because they really don't develop fast at all. That's been a huge issue over the past few Maddens. Now let's get some scouting done. Like I said, running back is a huge position to need going into next year, and we found a pretty decent one in Courtney Everett, although he's not as good as his projection is. Jimmy Morse is pretty damn good though. He's going to be a first round guy. We're also looking at Brendan Lamontagne, who's also a first round projection. I'm pretty sure we're going to spend a first round pick on a running back. And then Davion Bernard, another pretty good one. Lynn Spellman doesn't really match up with his projection as far as talent goes, but Kayshawn Levy looks pretty good so far. He's a 3rd round projection, 3rd round talent. Brandon Church, a 3rd round projection, but a 1st round talent. So I'll take a break from talking about these guys just real quick. Give you guys a little tip as far as scouting goes. Usually I scout the first attribute or skill, and if it's a B-, I usually skip them and then go elsewhere. And as you look, we're 2-2 in the first 2 games. Heading into our game against Tennessee, we'll have to see how we do against my favorite team. But yeah, like usually if it's a B- or worse, then I'll usually stay away from him. As you see, AC Ridgeway looks really good. He's a 5th round projection, but a 1st round talent. So he could be a huge steal in the 5th round if we decide to go after him. If we don't decide to go after a guy like Brendan Lamontagne, who I'm really a big fan of. Now, we look at middle linebacker. We do have Tremaine Edmonds there, but at the same time, we could just move somebody to outside linebacker. We're definitely going to look at corner as well. But as you can see, this class of corners does not look very good at all. At least as far as their first skill goes. A lot of these guys are B-, C+, and those are the type of guys I usually stay away from when I draft. Tight end is looking pretty good, at least on the top half, but then you move past the first 2, and then the rest of them are just C+. C there, a couple of C's there, and then a B-. I mean, our running back class is looking really good so far, but these tight ends and corners just not looking very good. Now we move to right guard, as we could use an upgrade over Wyatt Teller, and Stanley Wynn and Keith Cooper are lower in talent than they are in projection. But look at Ray Allman. He's looking like an absolute beast at right tackle, and we could definitely use him with Ty Nsekhe just not being very good. Evan Paul, another good player. Chris Barker as well. It's looking like a pretty decent class of offensive linemen at least. Now we look at center, Jeffrey Kilmer, a 2nd round talent and a 2nd round projection. Now we move over the middle linebacker, and we finish up with Daquan Copper, and he's a real disappointment as far as talent goes, but we still highlight him just in case. Going to free safety, even though it's not a huge need. And then we go back to corner, and even more disappointment down the road. All C pluses and B minuses and C's. This is just not very good. But we're 5-3 at the halfway point, heading into a matchup with the Cleveland Browns. So we're doing a lot better than I thought that we would, and we're doing better than I wanted us to do. But what can you do? Now we look at left tackles. Jimmy Coleman looking good. So is Sidney Thomason. And Adrian Sulak, a 4th round projection, but a 1st round talent. Mac Langford, a 5th round projection, a 4th round talent though. And we're looking pretty strong offensive line wise for this draft. Javonte Newton, a 2nd round talent and a 4th round projection. Bob Mormon, 3rd round talent, 4th round projection. And this is definitely a very strong class of offensive linemen. Now we go to left guard. Ace Martin looking pretty good so far. Now we go to left end because we're going to have to replace Jerry Hughes pretty soon, and Ronell Tate's looking really good. He's a 2nd round talent and a 3rd round projection, so it could be a steal in the 3rd if he's at our pick. And now we're looking at the rest of them as we finish up with Randy Hartman and Gregory Spicer and Quincy Shepard, all looking very solid. All are matching up with their projection, and we're definitely going to highlight all 4 of those guys. Then we go back to free safety. Not really a huge need, which is why I'm scouting a bunch of 3rd and 4th rounders. I just want to get a good backup for Micah Hyde just in case. And now we go to strong safety. Jordan Poyer, also a guy I'm not really immediately looking to replace, but might as well look at strong safety. And now the Bills sitting at 7-5 on the season, and we're right in the mix of the playoff hunt, although we do have a tough stretch in the last 4 games. We'll have to see what they do here. Now we go back to left end, and defensive end in general at least is looking strong on the top half, but some of the bottom players in the later rounds aren't looking very good. But these right ends are looking really good. Trevor Burnett and Tyson Finley. Kevin Greenberry a little bit disappointing there, but what can you do? And we're going to see what Dexter Reagan's looking like at middle linebacker. Now we go back to left guard, finishing up with Ace Martin. He's a 2nd round talent and a 5th round projection. That's really good. Then we go to right end. Charles Shea, kind of disappointing. Kevin Crick, a 1st round talent and a 2nd round projection. He could be a steal in the 2nd if he's around at our pick, which I highly doubt. And look at this, guys. We upset the New England Patriots in Week 16, and that sets up a Week 17 matchup with the New York Jets in what's pretty much the AFC East Championship game. If we win, we at least get a wild card if we don't win the division outright. They're sitting at 10-5. We're 9-6 right now, so we're definitely exceeding expectations for this season. The Patriots are pretty much out of it at 8-7. And the Dolphins never really had a shot. They're 2-13, probably have the 1st pick in the draft. But now we go to the last week of scouting before Super Bowl week. And we're looking at left outside linebackers to possibly replace Lorenzo Alexander, who's probably going to retire after this year. Randall Mitchell looks pretty good, but that's about it. And we actually end up losing to the Jets, unfortunately, so no playoffs for us. But we'll check out the playoff picture in the AFC. The Colts finished with a 12-4 record, and they'll be the #1 seed. Andrew Luck's still in the game because I actually recorded this before he retired. Then Browns, Jets, and Chiefs. Then the Chargers and Texans are your wild cards. And over in the NFC, the Cowboys with a 13-3 record are the #1 seed. Then it's Bears, Niners, Panthers, and then Eagles and Packers are your wild cards. So them boys are the #1 seed in the NFC. And now we'll check out the season stats for our Bills. Josh Allen, a pretty good completion percentage at 70%. 30 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Not a bad year at all. We'll see if we can take it to the next level next year. And we did not have a 1,000-yard rusher. Shady McCoy, 865 yards on 245 carries and 5 touchdowns. So we're definitely looking to get a new running back this offseason. Frank Gore, 313 yards and 5 touchdowns. Josh Allen, 3 touchdowns, 441 yards on the ground. Now, receiving-wise, we did have a 1,000-yard receiver, Cole Beasley, with 1,117 yards and 11 touchdowns as well. Zay Jones had a pretty solid year there as well. All of our receivers did pretty well. Beasley was just the only 1,000-yard receiver we had. And even Tyler Kroft did a pretty good job, but I still want to upgrade at tight end. And yeah, Naseki needs to go at this point. Dawkins might be on a short leash as well, giving up 10 sacks. Naseki gave up 11. So We're definitely going to have to improve our tackle situation. Matt Milano led the team in tackles with 95. Only had half a sack this year, but he did have 2 picks as well. Tremaine Edmonds, second on the team in tackles with 92. He had 3.5 sacks as well and 11 tackles for a loss. Ed Oliver had an amazing rookie season, 14 tackles for a loss, 8.5 sacks. Jerry Hughes, second with 12 TFLs and 3.5 sacks. Lorenzo Alexander leading the team with 11 sacks. Oliver was second with his 8.5. Hughes and Edmonds tied with 3.5 to be in third place. And we had Lodolelli and Lawson both get 2. Shaq Lawson did miss most of the season. I do have injuries on for this long-term rebuild just because I want it to be a little more realistic than, you know, just your one-off rebuilds where you have no injuries on. So that was actually done purposely this time. Jordan Poyer leads the team with 3 interceptions. Micah Hyde with 2. Milano with 2. And Tre'Davious White with 2. And let me know in the comment section if you feel like interceptions are a little low in this game. That's how I felt at first. They've improved a little bit, but still have room for improvement. Only 2 forced fumbles. Those are very low. I think fumbles happen a lot more often than they do in this game. Like in real life, they happen a lot more often than they have in sim in this game, at least. At kicker, Stephen Hauschka, 20 for 25, had 1 field goal blocked, and he only had 1 extra point blocked, which was his only miss. Corey Bjorkquist, not a great year. I mean, the average and net average are not bad, but only 5 kicks inside the 20 and 12 touchbacks. Just not going to get the job done. Now, Andrew Luck, who retired after this was recorded, ends up winning MVP. Mariota was up there as well, which is crazy. Mariota's always up there for some reason. Frank Reich ends up winning Coach of the Year, with the Colts doing as well as they did. I'm not really too surprised by that. Now, Josh Allen does finish 7th in Offensive Player of the Year on the AFC side at least. I'm still waiting for them to just like merge these and just show one big list. Lorenzo Alexander finishes 9th in Defensive Player of the Year. And Offensive Player of the Year was won by Hollywood Brown, but no Bills players there. They didn't really have a lot of offensive players who got a lot of PT anyways. Ed Oliver wins Defensive Rookie of the Year, however, with 8.5 sacks and as many TFLs as he had. He better have won, honestly. And Best Quarterback, Allen going to be number 9 there. So not great, but not horrible either. McCoy actually finished 8th in Best Running Back, which kind of shocked me. And Best Receiver, Cole Beasley, is at number 5 in front of Juju Smith-Schuster. So that's a pretty good guy to be in front of. And Offensive line, we had absolutely nobody there. Defensive line, Ed Oliver finished 7th actually in front of Michael Bennett and Sheldon Richardson. Lorenzo Alexander finishes 4th in Best Linebacker. And Best Defensive Back, we have nobody. Best Kicker, Stephen Hauschka finishes 8th. And now we're going to look at the Super Bowl. It's going to be them boys. They got Dak. They got Zeke. And they're going to be taking on Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham, and the Cleveland Browns, who always seem to make the Super Bowl in these sims. It's crazy, I know. But now we're going to check out the Pro Bowl to see if we got any Pro Bowlers at all. And none so far. We're going to receiver now. And Cole Beasley there is the number 5 receiver. And that's one bill. Let's take a look at the line. No offensive lineman, which I'm not really surprised by. And we got Ed Oliver in there, so that's 2. Let's see if we have anybody else. Going down the list. Into corners, nobody there yet. Oh, there's Micah Hyde, so that's 3. And then we got Stephen Hauschka as well. So that's 4 Pro Bowlers for the Buffalo Bills as we do a little recap of the playoffs. Jets beat the Texans in a wild card round, and the Packers beat the 49ers. The Chargers end up beating the Chiefs 35-24, and then the Panthers knocking off the Eagles 27-24. Now we go to the divisional round, and you have the Chargers beating the Colts 24-14. Then you had them boys beating the Packers 35-17. Then you had the Browns knocking off the Jets 28-22 in OT, and then the Bears handling the Panthers 24-3. You had the Browns beat the Chargers 26-13, and then them boys beat the Bears 28-23, and that's where we're at. Them boys taking on the Browns. And now we're going to finish up with our scouting, just scouting middle linebackers. And this looks like a really strong middle linebacker class. and we can definitely move some of these guys to outside linebacker in this 4-3 scheme. And we're going to have to see if any of these guys fall to us in the right places, because we could definitely use them. And the boys end up winning the Super Bowl in dramatic fashion, no less, winning 34-28 in overtime over Baker and the boys. So there you go, Cowboys fans. Y'all got another Super Bowl. There's your 6th ring for you. And there you go. They ended up winning in overtime. And Zeke had an amazing game. You're going to look at Dak, who had a pretty good game himself. Dak threw 262 yards, with 2 touchdowns and an interception. Zeke ran for 62 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's definitely the MVP of the Super Bowl. So congratulations to them boys. They got Dak, they got Zeke, Cap, Vintage. I'm doing the whole Chisel the Adonis thing. Go check that man out if you guys have no idea who he is. He's hilarious. And that's going to do it for the first episode of this rebuild. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you guys want to see more of this. Hit the sub button if you're new as well. Also, click the notification bell to join the notification gang. And if you guys like what I do and you want to support the channel in a more personal way, definitely consider becoming a patron of mine. The link's going to be in the description. Big shout out to all my patrons. We got V-Dub Productions, Franchise Gaming, Colin Mentors, Zach Brader, and Joshua Fernald. Now, that's just one of the few perks of being a patron. You get a shout out, at least in the times that I can remember to do it. I mean, I got the memory of a goldfish sometimes, so sometimes I don't remember to do it, but your name will pop up in the end graphic at the end of every video, so that's something. You guys will get first crack at creating players for any of my series and whatnot. And there's plenty of other great perks. Now, patronage and donations are never required or expected of any of you, but they are always very much appreciated, guys. I just want you guys to know that. And if you want to check out my Teespring store and possibly buy a shirt, that's going to be in the description as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video once again. You guys have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day, night, or whenever you're watching this. And like I always say, guys, no matter what happens, make sure you guys keep that mofo rolling. And I'm out of here. Deuces.
God, they tryna turn me to a monster. Every year I'm a conquer. Okay, see, I bring the thunder. Walking in humble, I leave Muhammad. Sting you like Bumble. Running with pride. 10 over, eyes to a bliss. I don't fumble blind.